On this episode of RC Kicks, we're reviewing this, the WLToys 104001. And I know what you're thinking, yeah, I know I'm late to the party, but there's a story, so stay tuned. Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, I finally got to the 104001 on the show, and I know what you're saying. You took your time. Well, the story is this. When I first heard about this highly anticipated WLToys 1/10 buggy, I jumped online and I actually put down my own money and I placed an order for it. Then it got pushed back, and then it got pushed back again. So eventually I kind of thought, well, should I spend that money on something else? I've kind of missed the boat, and there's lots of videos on YouTube about it and everyone's making up their minds about it, and I was like, nah, there's no point, I missed it, I'll wait for the brushless one. Anyway, so that's what I did. I put a cancel order in and I got my money back from Banggood, and then a couple of weeks later Cafigo reached out and said, hey, would you like to review one of these? So I kind of thought, well, I was going to buy one, so yeah, sure, I don't mind reviewing one. And sure enough, they sent it all the way over and I have it here for you now. Now, they also sent me a coupon code for this. So they currently sell it for $118.38 and you can get £13 off with code RCKicks01. I'll put all that stuff in the description of the video. So if you're interested in getting one of these, take a look, because you could also get a discount on it. So you're picking one of these up ready to go for just over 100 quid, £105. So that's a big part of this video. Obviously, we must always remember that we're having a ready-to-run 1/10 buggy for just over £105. Now, that blows me away when you look at what you can get for that kind of money in the 1/10 arena. Right, let's open it up, take a look at it, and see what you get. Like normal, you get a manual. The best thing about WLToys is they give you all the part numbers and descriptions in the manual as well. So it means that when you break it, and if you drive it and enjoy it, eventually you're going to break it, you can pick up the parts. Personally, what I do, because I'm a big fan of the 124019, is I just pick up a few of the parts that I think I'm going to break and then just have them in a parts bin. They're so cheap, it's not worth the aggro of breaking it and then having to wait 2 weeks to get the part in to fix it. You might as well just pick up a few bits and pieces you think you're gonna break and then just keep them, so that the minute you break it, you just swap them over. So it's well worth looking at, and all the prices can be found by just doing a search for the part number and then you just pick them up. Right, so that's the manual. Then, because it's a 1/10, it doesn't really fit in the box, they leave off the spoiler. So in this bag we have the crappy charger. Don't use these. Spend the £17, get a decent one, and then you can charge your batteries properly. This is what you use in a pinch, and it's also so slow that it's just don't use it. Then we have the spoiler. So we finally get a name. It's called Much. Okay, all right. So, you know, I give them a hard time about naming all their cars. So they've named one. So, okay, I'll give you some credit for that. You know, it actually is called Match. Now, box layout is pretty much exactly what you see from WLToys, and it works, to be fair, and it's obviously reasonably priced, and it protects the cars quite well. You get two side bits where the actual wheels sit in here. They all kind of look a bit beaten up like this. That's normal if you get one of these, but it does actually work. So you just remove the two, and then here's your buggy. Oh, she's She's a heavy girl. And then you get, in this section, you get your transmitter. Now this will be exactly the same as all the others, like the 124019. Now they don't bind permanently, they bind on turn on, which is really good because it means that if you've got a few of these lying around, you just pick one up, you pick up one of your WLToys cars, you turn it on and it just works. Yes, you might have to set the steering trim and the throttle trim, but it's a little twiddly knob on the end, it takes 2 seconds to do, but it will get you going and it get the job done. And then that's the boxes. Right, let's take a look at the girl. Well, I'm not a big fan of these front cab section things. They all kind of look a bit ugly. That's got nothing to do with WLToys. I think it's just a style that I just don't personally like. I do like the blue and the white, and they've done a pretty decent job. The polycarbonate body and wing, they feel quite premium, you know, they're not cheap, but to replace these, they are nothing. I think they're like £6 to £8 for a set. So don't even bother to reinforce them, save the money, because the Shoohoo glue will cost you more than a new set. Bash the life out of it and then just replace it. Right, let's open it up and see what you get inside. And normally this is where it kind of goes downhill a little bit. Obviously, let's keep in mind the price point that this buggy is at. But yes, you get a 550 brushed motor, you get a combination receiver and ESC, and a 5 cable servo. Yeah, now obviously for the budget, just to get a 1/10 budget moving for that kind of money is extremely difficult. But I think this is where WLToys went a little bit off the rails on this front. Personally, I mean, they're going to be bringing out a brushless version of this. Now, we don't know the price point on that, but I would personally have bought that out first. Because these cars, yes, they kind of work okay with brushed, but the electronics, yeah, I would rather have seen them bring that out first and then release this second. More from a marketing point of view, that you bring out a car, it gets reviewed, it's brushless, has a lot more power, and that actually pushes your brand forward. And then you bring out an entry-level one that's got brushed for the people that don't have the budget to get to that level. Coming out with this as their highly anticipated 1/10 car, it kind of leaves them open to be shot down a little bit by, yeah, it's a little bit slow and things like that. Even though the diffs and the driveline might be able to take it, and they've actually made it that way knowing that they're going to bring the brushless out. What do you think? Comment below. Talking a load of rubbish, or you think you agree with me? So the battery you get, well, in this one you get a 2200 milliamp 25C 7.22S LiPo. The 124019 comes with an 1800, so you can see the difference there. From that point of view, so you get a little bit more power. Now obviously you should, being it's a 1/10 versus something a lot smaller. Now obviously this was a massive success because they put a 550 motor in this. Now this is where they've kind of tried to do the same trick again by putting a 550 in, but it's carrying a lot more weight. The big one is obviously the flex. People complaining that the flex is too high, and yes, if you flex it you can see that front dog bone or prop shaft, whatever you want to call it, is flexing in the cup. For general use, yeah, I mean, are you really going to take this racing around a track? Probably not. But blasting around out in the street, in the park and things like that, I don't think it's really going to be a problem. You could modify it a little bit if you really wanted to. What I'm hoping is that when they bring out the brushless version, they actually come up with a way to fix that. It kind of really needs a top deck. That would fix that problem pretty easy. You could actually go straight from the steering here along to here, would help a lot. So all you'd have to do is make a bracket that would screw into there and come across to here, and that would help that front. It's actually compressing here, so this bracket going along there. So we may see that would be a super easy fix for them. And cost wise it would be next to nothing. You could probably make one yourself to be fair, out of a bit of carbon or something. So one other thing is, people are obviously saying check your diffs and everything. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to open it up and take a look at the diffs in this to see whether, yes, you should do that before driving it for the first time, or is that just a little bit of overkill and you got no problems. Just take it out and enjoy it as it is. Right, let's crack it open and take a look at the diffs. So there you go. What's my findings after checking out the diffs and looking at the center spur? Well, I would recommend opening it up. It's very easy to do. You don't need to take the towels off like I did. I realized you've just got a few screws at the front here and some at the bottom, and this front section just comes off, and then you have a nice easy access to the diffs. The diffs themselves, I didn't find any problems at all. There was lots of grease in them. They look fine, but the issue seemed to be where you had the drive coming into the diff from the prop shaft. That was quite dry, so I would definitely recommend greasing those up. It is probably worth checking, and you might want to add a little bit more grease as well. The one that surprised me the most was the spur gear in here. It's a hefty old girl. I can see why some of this weight's in there. It's just a massive piece of metal. It would be really nice if there was a slipper upgrade for this. That would be pretty cool. There's plenty of room, so it just needs someone to actually do it. So that would be a nice upgrade. But we have to keep in mind that what would you pay for that, being that you paid £105 for the car? You're not going to spend £45 on it, are you? But that would be a nice upgrade for sure, especially if you're going to be running brushless. Whether they will actually do that, I honestly don't know, but there's quite a bit of weight in there. Right, what's left? Well, let's just take it for a blast and see how we get on. $39 an hour.
Through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red. I if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red.
So there you go, I had fun driving it around. What did I think? Is it worth the money? Well, being that it costs so little, it's quite an easy one to say you get a lot for your money. But does that mean you should still get one? And my review is no, don't get one. Get one of these. Why? You want to know why? Okay, right, I'll explain myself. Right, so what is it? From a looks point of view, I prefer this one, but that's a personal choice. That has nothing to do with it, really. This one looks okay, it looks fine, colours are okay. Not a fan of the front cab, as I obviously said before. Personal choice, that has here nor there about it. It looks fine. Tyres are good, nice and soft. Rims are fine, they do the job. But what happens is once you open up the body, it goes downhill fast. Why? Well, the first problem with this car is it is insanely heavy. This weighs in at 1.680 grams. What's that mean? Well, I just took a random car that I had, and that just happened to be a Tamiya Avanti Mark II. Not that I'm the fan of that car either, but I weighed the two. That came in at 1.286 grams. For a four-wheel drive car. What does that mean? Well, it means you can take your Avanti Mark II to a track and you can strap a tin of soup to it, because that is the difference between the weight of this and the weight of that, minus the batteries. So you are lugging this liquid around the track, trying to turn it, accelerate it, brake it. So that's the problem one. Problem two is you are running a brush setup in a 1/10 that is super heavy, and it's slow because of it. It needs brushless for sure. The battery that's in it is okay, no issues from that point of view. And then there's another kick or another punch, if you will, which means it makes it even worse round the track, and it's the steering servo is slow, super slow. Nowhere near as fast as 019. This has so much faster steering. Also, the turning circle of this is like trying to turn a bus. It's terrible, and that's where I lost so much time on the track. I did get to set a time, and we'll cover that in a sec, but that is one of the big issues. Not only is the steering slow, but the turning circle is rubbish. So you have to slow right down for the 90-degree bends, and because I'm running it around the Bugrad track, it is super tight, so it completely didn't play into this buggy whatsoever. So this is definitely not one to take for racing, that's for sure. So those things all added up to a time of 9.57, which is pretty slow for a brand new four-wheel drive buggy, putting it just ahead of the Nova Fox, and in joint 9.57 time was the DBX10. It's as fast as the DBX10, and as you can see, they're very different kind of cars. So yeah, now when you take all that on board, do I recommend it? Well, no. It's also running metal all the way through. The pinion and spur gear. The spur gear is a solid lump of metal that weighs an absolute ton. So, and then you're pushing metal prop shafts to metal diffs. to big chunky metal drive shafts. It's all heavy, and I can see why they did it, because they wanted to make it strong. But unfortunately what happens is you're just piling on the weight, so you lose that nimbleness. That will make it slightly stronger, obviously, and I think that's why in the future what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can actually improve this. Can I put better electronics in it, and can I then get a decent time around the track? Now, from looking at it, I get the feeling you could run some pretty solid power through this. Another issue that I found personally was that the ball cut plastics are too hard. They pop off the balls with the slightest little bang, which is a pain. You also can't adjust the turnbuckles without them just popping off instantly, so they need to be softer plastic for sure, and they need to grab the balls. They're just sitting on the top of them, so they just pop off. They need to go right round them, so that needs to be fixed for sure. From that point of view, suspension, I'm completely happy with it. That's fine. I haven't even messed around with them, but I did dig into the diffs. And yes, they were fine, but the prop shafts and all the dog bones didn't have any oil on them either, so you definitely want to give it a once over before you drive it, that's for sure. Not that I think you're going to damage it if you take it for a spin before you do that, but you definitely want to be doing that when you start driving it a lot. So in an upcoming video, I'm going to put some better electronics in this and see if we can get it to set a better time around the track. But I get the feeling that we will see a brushless version coming out from WLToys, which should fix most of these issues. Now, if they could make it a bit lighter, that would be nice too. This big lump of pig iron in here needs to go. Also, they can just put a brace across the top here, and that will fix the flexibility issue. But for me, that wasn't what really wrote this buggy off. It's purely just how slow and how heavy it is, especially when you're trying to push it around the track. Personally, for my money, I would rather get this. This is a much better, more nimble, much lighter. This is like 1 kilo versus this 1.6 kilos. And yeah, so at the moment I would stick with this and just wait and see whether this will be coming out as an upgrade for a brushless. Anyway, I think I've covered pretty much everything, so thanks very much. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification button, because you're going to see this get some love as well as a few other cars. See you soon.